Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. How are you doing? I'm doing well myself. And I suppose I will now talk about the day, starting how it started and ending how it ended. Let's go. So, in the morning, I woke up at around 10. I was asked by my mom if I could make some pancakes. So, I got an old recipe that I had in my drawer in my room, and I made some pancakes. As I was making them, there was conversation going on between my mom and my sister, and I was kind of like in the middle of it, and it was pretty interesting. Moving along, I asked my sister if she'd be interested in having any pancakes. She declined, so it was just me and my mom. So we had the pancakes, and on top of that, my mom got the boysenberry syrup she got from that Knott's Berry Farm festival. We had whipped butter, and she made a special chopped up fruit, like strawberries and like oranges and bananas, and then got a mango and then grinded it up in the blender with some heavy cream, and then poured that over the chopped up fruits. And we had that with the pancakes, with the berry syrup or boysenberry syrup, and yeah, it was all very good. Very much enjoyed it. After we were done eating, me and my mom went on a walk together. It lasted about like an hour. We had a good time, good chat. It was pretty solid. After we arrived home after our walk, we got started on doing some backyard work. It was a really interesting process because with this backyard work, my mom wanted to put up some sunshade. So we were getting sunshade hooked up to parts of the area. However, we had three corners hooked up to the side of the house. Well, one corner was hooked up to a stick. We hooked it up, and it was this like wooden beam attached to a concrete slab underneath. And what we found was that the wooden beam that was attached to the concrete, as the wind was blowing, despite the wind sail or sunscreen being 50%, so not a full covering of the sun, but only a 50% covering of the sun. So theoretically, the wind wouldn't be as harsh on it. Despite that, it still gave enough force to the wooden pole to cause it to start to do a Michael Jackson. Other words, started to lean. So when we saw that, we knew we needed to untie everything and try to figure out what to do. So we were getting some advice from Claude about, which is an AI chatbot, about what could be a potential route going forward. Of course, before we did get information from Claude, we tried figuring out ourselves by talking through it, like, okay, what if we got like a flower pot and we filled it, put the pole in there, filled it with wet cement, and we had ourselves a nice, heavy, grounded surface for the pool to sit, so that way we would have somewhere to tie the sunscreen. And the information we got from Claude was able to help clarify a few points. For example, we needed some gravel. We needed holes in the flower pot to ensure there would be no waterlogging. And we needed it to be heavy enough to hold the pole without any leaning being an issue or a worry. So yeah, we're going to so that caused us to me and my mom to make a plan to go to the hardware store to pick up supplies to put that plan into action, including picking up gravel and wet cement and yeah, all manner of oh, and brackets too. Yeah, so but before we did that, our family friend asked us as we were working if we were interested in having pizza. We said yes. They left. They brought back the pizza. And when we had the pizza, a new Y files dropped. And I was like, ooh, let's watch this. And so we're like, okay. This one was about this book called Alien Interview. And basically, it was about like this woman back in the 1940s who had apparently been in constant telepathic communication with this being who was essentially like a biological robot that communicated telepathically only with her because she was the only being that the alien apparently trusted. And throughout the video, basically like the aliens filling her in on all the lore about like reality and stuff. Apparently it said like the Earth is like a prison planet where like when people die their souls are captured in like a soul catcher and then immediately flung back to Earth so we can be reborn in another like body, only to live out like a life of growing, getting old, and then dying over and over again. And basically, like the only way to leave the prison planet is to become aware that you had like previous like existences and stuff, and that basically when you become fully aware of your past life, it'll allow you to go beyond your physical mortal coil and become part of the greater expanded field of consciousness. So, it's some wild stuff. Ultimately, though, in the episode, AJ Gentile basically stated, yeah, this was interesting, but at the same time, the guy who wrote it, even though he claimed he got documents from the lady who had direct contact with the being, conveniently, he burned the top secret documents so he wouldn't be stalked by the government. I don't know, if I was him, I would have photocopied that stuff and then send it to every single UAP forum in the world. Like, taking hardcore evidence and then burning it, honestly, like, I don't know, I just think that's I guess like he was fearful of his life or whatever, but at the same time that just seems like an excuse to not have any evidence to back your story up, if you ask me. And then the thing is that the lady, there was people tried to track like if she was a real person that existed, but conveniently, like she went under a completely different name alias, so that way her name couldn't be tracked back to the government, so that way like she could work in these top secret compartmentalized programs. So it still has the potential to be true, very convenient. And then on top of that, the thing is, there are various different accounts of the Roswell story that don't seem to line up with the alien interview story. For example, like, maybe there was more occupants that survived, maybe there was less, or none at all, or, what did all the witnesses see, and where were the beings taken? Were they just operated on, or were they held in captivity? And then you have stuff like the Majestic 12 documents that directly contradict a lot of the details in the alien interview story. So, yeah, that's a big oops. And then, of course, the big tell all that shows that this probably is, highly questionable is the fact that the guy who wrote the book was a member of the Church of Scientology. And if you know anything about Scientology, you would know that if I described the story of this alien interview and how the alien describes like how souls are recycled into new bodies and whatnot, that's pretty much similar to how Scientologists believe how human beings like interact with reality, except it has that alien twist and then the believability angle of like the top secret, Roswell connection and whatnot. So, this could be real, but also it's also could be a story, but I'm going to parade this as real and say it's real. Like the author, anytime he was asked in interviews, like, no, this is real. I swear I got that call. But conveniently, every single itty bitty piece of evidence that could have pointed to this being real is all missing or was burned. And then also the whole detail of, the lady who felt like she needed to get this information out. She just so happened to read the guy's book about the Oz factor. And when she saw that, she was like, oh my gosh, this guy would totally get me. So I have to tell him everything before I die and it's too late. I don't know. Everything just seems extremely too convenient, extremely orchestrated in a way where it's just done for a narrative. And even though, like, the guy who wrote it or, just posted what the lady wrote to him is claiming, like, what she said is real, at the end of the day, this could all just, it's just like, could be like a big marketing ploy to convince people, no, this is legit. You gotta believe me. And, that's a bummer because, it destroys your credibility and it makes you hard to be trustworthy ever again. And, the fact that there's so many holes you can poke in the story, such as the inconsistencies with the Roswell story, the fact that it's extremely similar to the religion the guy was following, and the fact that all manner of evidence that could have pointed to this being a real case was conveniently missing or deleted, all makes this just a case that makes you go, wow, I'm pretty sure this is a bunch of baloney, not gonna lie. And that's terrible. I wish it wasn't, because I mean a lot of the ideas in it do sound really interesting, and it definitely does make me understand why a lot of people find the idea of something like Scientology so compelling. But at the same time, it's like, if there's nothing to back it up other than trust me, bro, then I'm sorry, but that's not enough. I need something more, Otherwise, I'm just going at your word, and that means I have to look at your credentials and what you've done in the past to see if you're taking me for a ride or not. And based on what you're doing, it feels like you're taking me for a ride, not gonna lie. Yeah, and the funny thing is, after the episode was done and we discussed it, like, I will say, when I first heard the audiobook for the alien interview, I was genuinely compelled. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I feel like I'm getting a little behind the scenes on the whole Roswell event. No way. But, as time has gone on, time is the ultimate, revealer of truth. And as time has gone on, it just has become more and more apparent that this is like a highly um, um, intentionally crafted story to like make people feel like they're a lot bigger than what they are. It takes like people's insecurities or um their troubles with the world, and it says, no, you don't have to, there's reasons why you're suffering. It's a grander thing than just world sucks. It's because there's great spiritual forces that are attacking, like the reptilians and the greys, and you know um it's very funny, but you know I mean, it's entertaining, at least. I'll give it that. It is very entertaining. But then after we were done with that, I did tell my family friend and my mom about this whack news that just showed up very soon. I think I might have mentioned it earlier in one of my earlier videos, like 2 or 3 days ago. But it was the fact that somebody, I think it was like a guy who was like in talks with people who were involved with the UAP phenomenon, stated there were hybrid alien human breeding programs that existed. And then, like, the reason why that was even like brought up was because in an interview on Newsmax, a guy was interviewing like a Tennessee congressman for the Republican Party currently. And I'm forgetting his name right now, but basically he brought that whole story of the guy talking about the hybrid program up to say, yo, you're on like the UAP task force, you're like filled in all this information, so what do you think about that? And he's like, well, if I wasn't part of Congress, I'd definitely have a lot more to say about this. And they said, are you serious or are you not serious? And then the guy said, like, I'm serious. And then he went on to say, the Congress representative for Tennessee stated that what I was told, if you heard what I was told, it would cause the glue of the country to become undone, set the world on fire, something like that. And I'm sick of it. There being so much secrecy behind this, and I wish I could say anything, but I swore to secrecy, and just to let you know, I am not suicidal. And he said all of that. And it makes you think, well, even though, like, all these fun and weird and wacky stories about aliens and UFOs, like, you hear are like, whoa, that's funny, that's weird, it could be hilarious, or that could be really insightful, or whatever. And then when you hear stuff like that, you're like, makes you wonder how much of the case is like legit, how many cases are legit, and how many cases are fabrications that are done to further people's agendas. And the ones that further people's agendas, your Far Sights, your Stephen Greer's, your alien interviews, those kinds of things. Like, yeah, that's pretty clear that those people use the whole alien thing as like leverage to trick unsuspecting followers into giving them like more money to do more research on the subject, when in reality they're basically like taking them for a ride and using things that people are open to believing as like a way of convincing them that what they're doing is real. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how all that works out ultimately. But anyways, the holy cow, I got off on a tangent there. I completely lost track of what I was going on about. But anyways, after that video, me and my mom went off to the nearest hardware store to pick up some supplies for the garden project, including pea gravel, cement, cinder blocks with metal attachments to hook on wooden beams. What else? Little attachments for the beams to make them more sturdy and durable, so they don't lean and they stay straight. And yeah, the whole process took a really long time. But ultimately, we found everything we needed, and yeah, we ended up, you know, get getting the stuff and leaving, packing it away, driving home, um, and then putting everything away in designated areas in the house to ensure that if it rained, the concrete wouldn't get prematurely wet, and the material would be ready when we needed it for when we were about to use it. Um, the whole experience ultimately was extremely draining. It took a lot of energy out of all of us, me and my mom. So we were just like chilling outside. Our family and friend came out to chill with us, and I remember that we were thinking about going to get like something like a dessert while watching the series Fallout, continuing to watch it, but we didn't want to watch it without my sister, so we asked my youngest sister, "Hey, would you be interested in watching Fallout?" And she said she wasn't interested. She said she'd rather do her own thing. So we were like, "All right, that's cool. We'll watch something else." So we decided to watch this film. I think it was called um, "Let It Ride." And so we were like, okay, we'll watch this film, Let It Ride. So when we were done hanging out, we decided to go in, and my mom made some, well, my mom was making a pound cake, fruit, berry sauce cake thing dessert for us. And our family friend was cooking up some burger patties without any bread and with just some cheese and salsa that me and her ate. My mom was not interested in that; she just wanted the cake. But I wanted something meaty, so I accepted the offer from our family friend. I ended up taking a metal bowl, putting it in the freezer for about 20 minutes, taking it out, and then putting the heavy whipping cream, some sugar, powdered sugar, mind you, that I had to powder myself by using in the blender, and some vanilla extract. Whipped that up for a good, like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, something like that. Add a little bit more syrup, maple syrup, to add a bit more sweetness there because it was a little too bland. And then once we got it to a good amount of sweetness, we mixed it in with the pound cake, the chopped up fruit, the berry sauce. There was even some of that mango covered leftover chopped up fruit from earlier in the day that we put in there. And then we had it ready. I made some coffee. My mom served me, our family friend, and her some cake. We went out to the living room. We found the film. Before we played it, as we were getting things ready, I showed my family friend the whole alien hybrid thing. I know I said that earlier, but in reality, I only showed my mom that, and I decided to show our family friend that later because I don't think she stayed to watch that. So she was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." And then after that, yeah, we found the film Let It Ride for free on YouTube, and we decided to watch this. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was very snappy, very witty. It had a really clear vision of what it was going for. You could definitely feel what the characters were feeling. It was like about this guy who just trying to promise to not be a gambler, but he ends up getting the gambler bug anyways and decides to go into like a horse betting like race contest, even though he told his wife he wouldn't. And he ends up making more money the first time, and he makes more money second time, more money the third time, and every time he does it, you're like, oh no, is he gonna lose everything? But he ends up making more and more, and you're thinking, oh, they're totally gonna troll him, and like he's going to give all of his earnings like away, and then he's gonna lose everything, and that's it. So yeah, and then he ends up winning. And the thing is, the movie was fun. It was enjoyable. You could feel what the characters were feeling for sure. But I think it's just because it plays into that, like, universal emotion of like, ooh, we all want money and we all want it in a way where it's like fate chose us to have that money and we did it, yay, And in a way, the movie kind of promotes gambling, which, I mean, let's be real, that's something you don't want to promote. You want to promote being really responsible with your money, knowing how to manage it. That's the better thing you want to promote, not, oh, just choose the horse or thing that you think will do the best, and then just hope and pray it ends up succeeding, so you'll make 10 times as much back. And I mean, stuff like investing exists for a reason. It's because there's more of a chance of not losing your money because there's actual evidence to back up the company like doing well, because like they're following certain trends or beating certain trends or doing something different that's going to set them apart from the rest of the pack. And so ultimately, basically, if you really want to start making your money work for you, just invest, or at the very least, have a good savings account that gives you a good APY or something. Don't dump all of your money in gambling, because more often than not you're going to lose it all, and then you're going to look like a dum-dum, and you don't want to look like a dum-dum. I understand people get that adrenaline, people get that excitement, people are like, oh my gosh, I won, wow, but ultimately it's it's not worth it. Choose stability over unpredictability more often than not losing. That's my lesson of the day. But still, it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Now I use the restroom. I subscribe to Higgsfield because they now have Sea Dance 2. I've been messing with Sea Dance 2, trying to finish that Red Letter Media little AI video project that I was working on earlier, because, it was that, like, animated pilot for The Dependables. Was using Google's Nano Banana 2 to color the frames, and then using Sea Dance 2, well, originally Kling 3.1 to animate the frames, and some of it did okay job on, some of it didn't, but it would appear Sea Dance 2 does a better job. It's still not perfect, but it's getting better. And then the one generation that I was currently generating was taking way too long, so I decided to oh, and I forgot to mention this. I actually took my vitamins before we started watching that movie because I wanted my body enough time to absorb them. And then I took my magnesium citrate right before filming this, so that could have its own time in the spotlight in my body to be properly absorbed. So yeah, forgot to mention that. But yeah, it was taking forever for the generation to generate, so I decided to take that time to take the magnesium, to brush my teeth, to use mouthwash, say goodnight to my sister, tell her I love her, and then go into my room and make this video. And that's pretty much my day today. So, yeah, overall, I would say if I were to look back on all of it, it was a day that was full of hard work, of being a helper to my mom, of having fun and just making silly videos, and also watching a fun, cool movie, and ultimately just enjoying the day off, while also doing what's expected of me to be a good son and pull my weight around the house, even on days off. So that's all there is to it for now. Appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody, and have a good one.